have the privilege and honor of asking the last two questions to our newest members of the Squad Victory Fund, y'all. Because the squad is big. Congresswoman Cori Bush, exemplified. Yes! She exemplifies what it means to bring grassroots movements into the halls of Congress. So it is no surprise at all, right, that she just introduced an historic legislation calling for $14 trillion in reparations for Black Americans. She did not come to play, y'all. Why is the push for federal reparations and for the United States to formally acknowledge and apologize for the state-sanctioned institution of chattel slavery not only important, but also part of a larger movement that all people in America, regardless of racial or ethnic background, should collectively engage in?
Thank you for that question. Hey, everybody. So, first, because the United States has abdicated its responsibility for the enslavement of kidnapped, stolen Africans who were in their own country, living their own lives, minding their own business, and forcibly brought to this country in the most cruel, inhumane, savage manner. And we're talking about over 12 million humans that they stole. We're talking about from even actually before 1619, some, but if we look at just from 1619 to 1865, we're talking about over 222 million hours of forced labor, which is at the value today of about $97 trillion. I need a better response than that. Well, I mean, if you think about it, we work 40 hours and it's tough. We work 40 hours, some of us inside of the place, and we get to drink our coffee and we get to eat, we get lunch breaks, we have tough days. I'm not saying our days aren't tough, but our days are nothing like being enslaved. We're talking about folks who were raped, mutilated, over and over again. It was the way of life. We're talking about young girls and women over and over again. Women who had children that they needed to give their breast to suck, and they couldn't even feed their own because they had to take care of the white enslavers' kids while theirs died. We're talking about a place where the first 10 presidents out of the first 12 U.S. presidents enslaved Black people. We're talking about a place where 1,700 congressmen enslaved Black people. Y'all act like y'all ain't like that in the meeting. 1,700 congressmen. We're talking about people who write the laws, people who vote this stuff into action. And they own people, whole human beings. We're talking about a president, James K. Polk, who traded from the Oval Office. We're talking about Supreme Court justices, 5, who in my district where the Dred Scott case was heard. The Dred Scott case where those slave-holding judges decided that Black people were not U.S. citizens. We're talking about the people with the power in the highest places in this land gave a green light, but also participated in the enslavement of human beings. And it was allowed. And as of today, in 2023, there has been no repair for the harm. And it also has to not only apologize for slavery, for the transatlantic slave trade, for the Middle Passage where 2 million black folks died and didn't even survive that journey to even get here, but also the vestiges of slavery. Redlining, lack of adequate housing, education, looking at Jim Crow, post-Jim Crow discrimination, the economic injustices we walk through even today. When, right here in DC, white enslavers received reparations if they decided that they would free those that they had enslaved because they wanted to repair the harm that would come to them, because they would have the people that they enslaved. So they were each given $300. And now they would give up to $100 to those they freed if they left the country. Today, we still walk through what happened. When we look at even the massacres, we got to talk about over 6,500 documented lynchings. Who pays for that? When we're talking about race massacres, Tulsa, right now, there are living survivors of the Tulsa Race Massacre of 1921 who still have not received reparations, who was just in court last week. This country has a moral and a legal responsibility to fix its problem that it created. Because the United States economy was built on that forced labor. Cotton. At one point, I think it was around 1831, the U.S. delivered nearly half of the world's raw cotton crop. Nearly half. And it was from the production of forced labor from those enslaved black folks. Built the economy of this country: tobacco, sugar, rice. Stole the land of black farmers. Still today, black farmers are trying to get their land back from generations. But when black folks say we need reparations for something that happened right here, we're told, oh no, we didn't enslave you. You were never a slave. Other folk can get reparations. So I need other folk whose folk got reparations to speak up for black folks who ain't got reparations. Make this thing, make it right. The other thing is when we say $14 trillion, so there are scholars, Dr. Sandy Darity and Jason Hinkle and others, who came up with this number because it is the approximate amount of the black-white wealth gap. Any country that is so unjust and inequitable that simply based on race, there's a $14 trillion difference. This country owes restitution, compensation, and rehabilitation to black folks. This is the land of the free and the home of the brave, and this is the place, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Not for black people.
Hello? Exactly. And for those that do have the boots, it still does not mean that the U.S. government shouldn't pay for what they messed up and what they did. And we're saying 14 trillion is the low bar. All we're saying is that's the black-white wealth gap. We're saying that you got to do better because you got to fix housing. You got to fix the disparities in health care. You got to make sure our HBCUs can survive. And all of the things. Fix economic justice issues in our communities. Fix the housing situation. Fix education. That's what we're saying. And so, it takes every single person, whether you are affected directly or not, because this affects somebody that you know, somebody that you see, and if you say, I've never seen a black person before, I'm talking about folks that's watching. If you've never seen, never known, never been around a black person before, let your humanity speak. Because the thing is this, even for our law and order brothers and sisters, and queer folk, some law and order queer folk, even for y'all, when somebody kills someone else, and that person is dead and gone, those law and order folks say that person that killed them should be held responsible regardless of how long it takes. They want them held responsible. They want there to be some accountability in what they consider to be justice. And so even though our ancestors are no longer here, there still has to be accountability. There still has to be justice. For the over 40 million black folk in this country, give us the check, but also give us all the other things that will bring us to a place of equity and equality in this country.
Give it up for Congresswoman Bush, y'all.